Okay, I had to restart because I figured that'll just make it easier. I'm just gonna quickly post. DC who's a wonderful creator, has tagged me in a post talking about how my live chat was off. So that's been fixed. Let's just like this. I just restarted the stream all together. Technical difficulties, my friend. What is a stream without technical difficulties? I feel like. So, good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. We're going to be making homemade bread, and while the dough is rising, I'm thinking of making something else, but I'm not sure what yet. Maybe a chocolate chip pound cake. If you guys have any ideas, let me know. So I was going to originally make a honey whole wheat bread out of literally my all-time favorite cookbook, but my husband got called on a job, so we are just going to make regular white bread. I apologize if my audio is like absolute crap. Let me know. I'm going to try not to make too many horrible noises. It does. Okay, thank you, DC. That's wonderful, because I'm just using the microphone on my computer. So I was a little worried, and I was going to suggest maybe trying out my earbuds, but if we're good, we're good. So you're going to see me pop in and out as I grab ingredients. The recipe is just a really easy, I have things written all over it, but it's this homemade bread recipe. Love the slurking. Love the slurking. Yes, I believe you can buy it off Amazon. So yes, I'll link it in my community, and I'll link it in the description as well for the cookbook. It has amazing recipes. I grew up on this cookbook. My mom has cooked almost just about every single one out of it, almost every single recipe out of it. It's like it's basically my cooking Bible, is the best way I can describe it. So the homemade bread is really easy. I've added a few things to it as well. Like I changed the recipes to make it more me. So I like to add egg to this recipe. I don't know. It just makes it a nice denser bread that's really quite tasty looking. Oh, and side note, I may have to pop out to deal with my kiddo. I'm going to try and keep her off the screen the best I can. Thankfully, she only comes up to just above my knees, so she's not too tall. Hello, not that Kate. Hello, Rutro. If I've missed anybody else saying hello. Everybody go follow DC if you haven't yet. She's awesome. And follow anybody else that is making content as well, because it's fun. And everybody needs support. And I'm all about that. Okay, so first things I like to do first is I like to gather all of my ingredients. So first I have flour and sugar. I like to use cane sugar, but you can use regular white refined sugar as well. If you want a darker bread, you can always use molasses or brown sugar. That's what they do in rye bread to get it such that nice dark brown, almost black color. Same pumpernickel as well. I also have one egg out. I'm only doing a 1-times recipe of this because I'm limited on ingredients until I can go grocery shopping. Let's see. So we also need butter. And this recipe does call for milk, but since I don't have any, I'm going to just use water. It does the exact same thing. So butter, yeast. I like to use the traditional dry active, but there's quick rise. There's all sorts of different kinds that you can use. Most bread recipes call for active dry yeast. Everybody is pretty usually intimidating when it comes to making bread because of the yeast, but as long as your yeast is new and you're not in an overly cold room, it should do its stuff just easily. Yes, yeast does expire, and generally on the lid, there's an expiry date there. But if you keep it in the fridge, it will also last longer. I've had this yeast since about, when did I buy it? January? I make a lot of bread, so it's almost gone. But this one expires in 2024, so it usually lasts about a year to a year and a half. You can warm your oven up to the lowest possible temperature. So my oven goes to 170 degrees Fahrenheit, and then you just put it at the back of the stove. I'm going to have to move my computer screen when I go to do my stove and oven stuff so I can show you where, but just like to the back of the stove where the warmest spot, you can even kind of feel it when you're just running your hand over top of the stovetop. You can kind of feel where the heat vents out from the oven. You want to put it there, but you want to keep an eye on it so you don't cook all the ingredients inside of it. No worries. That's what this live stream is all about. Questions. I love questions. I'm going to try and make this not overly long, but bread is a bit of a long process sometimes. Okay, so where are we? I boiled water because you want it to be lukewarm, and because I live in basically the middle of nowhere, I'm on a well and my water is hard, so you don't want to use hard water right out of the well. It doesn't work quite as well as, like, say, boiling it and having it warm that way, because you want to have warm water when you're doing your yeast so the yeast does its stuff. It's growing, it's starting to bubble and cultivate. That's the word I was looking for, cultivate. Okay, so water, butter, yeast, more water, flour, sugar. Well, and I need salt. So really, you can use any kind of salt. I just use regular table salt because, as much as I love Himalayan pink salt, it's a little bit too expensive to use on a regular basis for baking. So the first things we're going to do, since I already boiled my water in my kettle, is we're going to get our yeast starting to cultivate. So I need 1 tablespoon of yeast. Probably should have grabbed all of this stuff before I started. But, you know, first live, I'm a little frazzled. Hello, Christina. Welcome to my live. We're making homemade bread and possibly something else. I'll ask you guys a little bit later. I'm thinking maybe chocolate chip pound cake if I have all the ingredients for it. So we're just starting off, and I'm really sorry about any of the tinging noises. Hopefully when I get a mic, that'll change. Thank you, DC. Hopefully I'm not rambling too much. I ramble when I get a little nervous. Okay, so 1 tablespoon of yeast. Now, I like to use a metal bowl, but plastic works. Ooh, sorry. Plastic works as well. Oops. And what I like to do is, after I've collected everything, all of my ingredients, I like to get everything all measured out. That way I don't have to worry about it, and I can just go step by step, real easy. And it makes it a lot easier to clean as you go as well, which really helps when you're baking. Oh, that's awesome. I love it when kids play with your hair. It just feels so good. My kid's only 2, so she's still a little too rough, but that's wonderful. And thank you, everybody. Thank you for telling me I'm doing great. I've done a few live streams on TikTok before. There's one somewhere on my page where I was doing mac and cheese, and it's it's fun. I like doing live streams. I agree with DC. They're a lot better than doing recorded content, but I need to get better at doing that as well. Okay, so I got my yeast in the bowl. Next, we're going to start measuring out everything else. Out. So we're going to have to melt some butter. And since I don't normally like to use the microwave, just my own personal choice, but since I'm not using milk, which normally when I'd be heating up milk, I'd do it on the stovetop, and I would put, in this recipe, it calls for 2 cups of milk and 1 tablespoon of butter, so you put those 2 things in the pot, and you turn it on to about a medium heat, because you don't want to burn the bottom of the milk, because that will just end up, one, it's a horrible mess to try and clean up and scrub off of, but it makes the milk kind of taste funny. It also can make it curdle. It's not fun. So you want to keep it on a low heat. You want to stir it as much as you possibly, stir it often, but you don't have to stand there currently stirring it. And my way of knowing when that pot is done is when the butter is melted. As soon as the butter is melted, you want to take it off. You want to pour it back into the measuring cup you used to measure your milk out with. And you want to let it cool. And this is where you want to stir it as often as you can while still doing everything else. But since I'm not using milk and I'm using water, I'm going to measure out my water after I measure out my butter. And I'm going to pop my butter into the microwave, which I normally don't do. And it's all preferable choice. No worries, DC. Everybody, don't forget to take your meds if you need to. I will be taking a cranberry supplement when I have lunch. Give me 1 second. Are you okay? Yeah. Don't put that in your mouth. Don't put it in your mouth. Have some water, please. Sorry, mom problems. Jeez, children. I swear, they like to purposely make themselves choke on things to freak you out. Oh, okay. So, 1 tablespoon of butter. Okay. Always make sure you're washing your hands before you start. Hello, my little princess. Do you need something? She likes to watch me bake, so I'm just, yeah, you like to watch mommy bake? Okay, come this way with me. Are you going to say hello? Do you want to say hello? So you don't want to melt the butter and cook the butter. So only do like 10 seconds at a time. I mean, really, it's only butter and it's only 1 tablespoon, so it's really not that much. Hi, would you like to say hello? Okay. I'm not going to put your face. Come on. You stay. No. Yeah, you want to give mommy a hug? Okay. Say hello. Yeah, okay, that's it. I'm going to put you back down now, okay? Mwah. No, I can't pick you up. I don't want you on video too much. Oh. Can you go watch Frozen? She just likes saying hello to people all the time. Hello, Calcium. Welcome. She was born scared me to death, and she still chokes on stuff almost every day. She's going to be 13 in a couple of months. Oh my gosh. Oh, well, that does not leave me hope for my child. That's okay. I gotta continue baking. Yeah. She's actually the one who gave me my black eye, if anybody's wondering. I was playing in bed with her yesterday, and she totally clipped me with her elbow. pulling a pillow off my face. It just, yeah. Oh, you know what? It makes sense that they choke even until then. I still choke on popcorn sometimes if I eat too fast. So it makes sense. Hey, don't pull my pants down. Let's not do that. Okay. So when you're doing your sugar, I also like to give it a little bit of sugar. Your yeast, I also like to give it a little bit of. Please stop pulling on those. A little bit of food to eat. So I give it half the sugar that you're supposed to put in with your flour, just so that the sugar has something to eat because it also gets hungry. Oh, okay. Sugar, I need 2 tablespoons. So only put half it. I like. So 1 tablespoon. What are you doing, little Nika? That's not her name. That's the nickname that her daddy gave her. And that's the name I'll be using for her. Just to help with, her security because she's still too young to consent to this kind of thing. Oh, that's a good idea. When, of course, she goes right into my baking cabinet. So, yep, kitchen stuff for her to play with. Thankfully, the few times I've had to use my first aid skills, it hasn't been too serious, and it's just been mostly a quick, finger down the throat and grab the, yeah. Anyways, back to this. So, also when you're doing your yeast, you don't want to make sure your water isn't too hot. You only want it to be about lukewarm. So if you have to, I need a 1/4 cup of water, so it's not very much. Just let it sit and let it sit and cool. If you need to, you can always throw it into the fridge to help. Your sound has gone weird. Okay. I wonder why that is. Is anybody else's sound strange? I wonder why. I'm not sure what's going on with that. I haven't done anything. I haven't changed anything. What? How does it sound weird? Am I echoey? Is there? If anybody has any suggestions for help with that. Yeah. Okay, so butter not melted yet. Like I said, I like to do 10 seconds at a time because I don't want to burn it. Cutting in and out. I wonder, is my internet being... I don't know what's going on. Okay, my internet seems to be okay. I don't really know what's going on with that. I do live in the middle of sometimes in the middle of nowhere, so my internet is off of a cell phone tower instead of on the regular internet stuff. Oh, thank you so much. This is actually a rental house, so it came this blue. I've just done a lot of decorating to make it as homey as I can. Where was I? Making sure the water's not too warm. So literally the way I make sure that this isn't too warm, nope, too warm still, but the best way to tell, make sure you can hold your finger in just for a couple of seconds, then you pour it over your yeast and you let it sit for a few minutes. Yeah, maybe DC can help us when she gets back. You left and came back and it's fine. Maybe it's a YouTube problem then. I'm not sure. That's very strange. Okay, so while we wait for the water to cool down, we're going to pour the 2 cups of water that's supposed to be milk as well so that we can get that cooling down, because as soon as our yeast is ready to go, well, more or less as soon as our yeast is ready to go and this 2 cups is cool, we want to add the rest of our ingredients and start making the dough for our bread. I also blame YouTube, Kate. Yay, Rutro, I'm glad it's working for you. Oh? What? My kiddo. Can you guys hear her in the background? Ma. She's just learning words and how to talk, and it is honestly just the cutest. Oh, if only Nika's cuteness was the reason why the internet broke. I would be so happy about that, to be honest with you. However, I am also one of those people who totally advocates for not putting your children on the internet because of all the weirdos out there. I asked her if she wanted to say hello, and she put her arms up, so that was the only reason why I picked her up. Welcome back, DC. I hope everybody else remembered to take their meds if they needed to as well. Sweetie, can you please not yell? Mommy's on a live, okay? Okay, so butter's melted. We're just going to set that aside for a moment because that gets added with the water. And if you hear Frozen in the background, YouTube, please don't flag me. Seriously, please don't flag me. My kid just wants to watch a movie. Okay, that. Let's put these 2 things away. I like to try and stay as neat as I can so things don't get confused. Okay. Yes, Rutro, you're exactly right. It really is. I may have to disappear for a few minutes at a time. She's usually pretty good when I'm baking, though. She normally just likes to try and watch me, which normally when I'm not live, I'll pull a chair up to the counter and let her watch me. But I'm too paranoid about that. I can't, especially after, and I'm only mentioning it. I don't actually want to talk about the whole Ren Eleanor thing on TikTok. I can't. I just can't. So when you're measuring out your flour, I like to measure it out in 2 parts. So one recipe calls for 6.5 cups. Keep half a cup out because when you add your water, your butter, and your egg to the yeast, you're also going to add half a cup of flour. It just helps everything to combine a lot better, and I like to do it that way. So, and then you'll split 6 cups of flour into this. You put your salt and your 1 other tablespoon of sugar into one of the bowls, and that's the bowl you want to start with when you start adding the rest of your flour to the yeast mixture, just to make sure that it all gets in there, because sometimes, depending on the area that you're in, you don't actually always need to add all of the flour. Sometimes you'll have to add more liquid. It all depends on the climate that you're in. The wetter the climate, the more flour you'll need. The less flour you'll need, sorry. No, the more flour you'll need. It's morning. I haven't had coffee because we're out of milk. It's a fun time over here. So yeah, the wetter the climate, the more flour you'll need. The drier the climate, the less flour you need. Christina, welcome back. Glad to have you. Welcome to anybody that I may have missed, saying hello to. Really happy you guys are here. Another baking grease. Yes, baking grease. One of the best ways to cook almost everything in. I love bacon grease. I make a wicked Yorkshire pudding, and the way you do it is done with bacon grease in the pan. Okay. So for a little bit of context on my cooking, I'm not just a mom who learned how to cook because I needed to. I actually love cooking. I did cooking for a little bit of a profession. For about 7 or 8 years, I worked at a 4.5-star fine dining restaurant called Horizons in the Lower Mainland, and they're closed now, but I worked there, and I did a little bit of cooking school as well, because it was just something I was really interested in. It also got me out of doing a pre-IB course when I was in high school, because I didn't really feel all that great when it came to my grades and everything, and cooking was a way for me to express myself. I turned it into a career, didn't end up actually liking doing it, and I went to landscaping, and now I'm a stay-at-home mom. Oh, my husband used to have a bacon pan that kept being used without being cleaned. My OCD couldn't handle it. So I understand that in a way, because when you're using cast irons, you're not supposed to wash them with soap. It's kind of difficult sometimes, but that is one of the best ways to make anything on a cast iron pan, is by not washing it, because all the deliciousness comes out. And it's strange. Ask anybody down in the South, they'll agree with me. Actually, just realized. Well, I also do cooking tutorials if she wants to learn how to cook as well. Yes, I have. They're not as fatty. They have much more meat to the bones of it, which I actually don't like, because bacon grease is amazing. I think I have a jar and a half of it right now. But I have noticed that some store-bought bacon brands, like Maple Leaf, you cannot save the grease from, because there just isn't any. Okay, so I can hold my finger in this water now for the yeast. See, now that's just smart. Save the grease. Yeah, always. So, water into your yeast. I like to just take a tablespoon and give it a little bit of a stir. Make sure you don't leave any of the little yeast bubbles on the side of the pan. You can use a spatula if you prefer. Instead of a tablespoon, it's just what I usually grab. It's either there isn't any or it doesn't solitary. Yep, that's definitely true. Okay. Okay. I don't want to show it. I can't show you because she's on the ground and I don't want to move my camera too much. Excuse me, but my kiddo is putting a set of poles on her head right now, and it is quite funny, and I don't know if you can hear her, but she is just laughing in the background every time she does it, and she has the funniest maniacal little laugh ever. Okay, so once you have your water in your bowl with your yeast and you've given it a good little mix, you're just gonna shove it to the side and leave it to sit for 10 15 minutes or so until the bubbles come, and I'll show you what that looks like. Yeah, they are the best hats. She also loves, and I see a piece of it is missing at the moment, loves to put my air popper on her head, my air popper helmet. It's hilarious. Thankfully, she is too big now and it doesn't fit. Okay, so that water is still too warm. Just gonna give that a stir. Yes, my dear. I'll be right back. Yes, love. What do you need? You want to sit on the couch? Here you go. Here you go. Up back. Okay, that's too great. She's on the couch with a bowl on her head watching Frozen. Okay, I was just checking the comments. So I've got 3 cups of flour here, 3 cups of flour here. And I'm going to measure out a 1/2 cup and put that to the side for when I add it to the yeast mixture. Gonna have to refill my jar. I love these jars. I got them when I was cooking in a restaurant. And I haven't been able to find jars this size since. Might be able to find them at Costco. But I'm also not sure. Okay. There we go. I don't know about anybody else, but flour, I can't handle the flour mess that comes with flour. It puffs out, it makes a big cloud, it's just redonkulous. She can't, that's okay. She can watch on your account. I'm good with that. I wouldn't let her have an account anyways. No, I wouldn't let mine have an account either anyways, so I fully understand that. Can you guys see that? Right there? The little bowl on her head. And I only showed because you can't really see her face. Okay, so now the rest of the ingredients. So the last tablespoon of sugar. Okay. And then 2 teaspoons of salt. Egg over here. That is definitely one thing about having children that has messed with my OCD. I can almost never have a clean house because she's throwing stuff everywhere. Agreed. Cocoa powder is definitely as bad, if not worse, than flour. Although sugar, when you spill sugar, that's pretty bad too, because then it sticks to the bottom of your feet and gets everywhere. And okay, I'm going to stop talking about unpleasantly textural things because I'm getting uncomfortable with the thought. So I just went into the cat litter dive button. Now I'm done. Okay, salt now. Wait. I can tell it's morning. Put the salt away before I was done with it. Icing sugar is pretty bad too. Okay, teaspoon with salt because I find when you're baking you can't underseason. I just use a regular teaspoon. I don't even measure my salt most of the time. Just kind of lightly go on. 2, that seems good enough to me. I grew up in a family where measuring was not a thing. Anytime I ever asked my grandmother for a recipe, she doesn't have an answer for how much, just what goes in, and then I kind of have to watch from there. It's a lot of fun. It's almost like a mystery when that happens. Okay, so in the meantime, while we wait for the yeast and the water to cool down, does anybody have any questions? Or any ideas on what you'd like to see me make? While we wait for the bread to rise, the dough to rise, because the dough takes about a half an hour. And I just don't want to sit here dead air, so I figured I'd make something else to go with it. Does anybody have any ideas? I can always just flip through my cookbook as well, see if there's anything that interests you. My mom says it depends when it comes to measurements. It depends when it comes to measurements, but not what it depends on. Yes, I agree, Kate. That's basically what my grandma says as well. Cookies. If I can find an eggless cookie recipe, absolutely, because I'm out of eggs now. I used my last one for this. So I also have a ton of cookbooks over there, and I have one specifically just for cookies, so I could just take a peek in that. I just quickly first want to look at a chocolate chip pound cake, that recipe that I have it here. Granted, I can find it to see if it needs eggs. And then I will do, have you tried flax in place of egg? No, I haven't, Calcium. How do I? Yeah, no, I have not tried flax. I've heard you could do banana and avocado as well, but I've never tried flax. Does it work the same? I don't have flax at the moment. Otherwise, I would probably try it. But that's a good idea. I might have to look into that. Is it like does it have like the same consistency? I haven't done it before, but I think you soak the seeds and it makes a similar thing. Flax, chia, the liquid from chickpeas, bananas. Interesting. I'm gonna have to try it out one of these days. Okay, let's see. Can I find that chocolate chip pound cake? What did I do? Do I not have it? I have so many things bookmarked, it's hard to tell what is and isn't. No? Is this it? Nope. Chocolate chip angel macaroon angel food cake. I am not making that. Every time I try to make, aha, there it is. I do need eggs. That doesn't work. Okay. Flax changes the taste a little bit, but the consistency is the same. Very interesting. Now, Kate, you also said that you could use chia seeds. Would that end up being the same way as flax? You just soak the seeds and it turns into like a goopy thing? Let's see. Okay, I do have bananas. I could find a banana bread recipe and make banana bread. We can figure that out in a few minutes. Yeah, it becomes a goo. Goo. Lovely. Lovely. Okay, so the yeast is done anyway, so we'll continue on with the bread, and maybe I can get a banana bread or banana something. Oh, actually, I have some old chocolate chip muffins here. I have to look it up quickly, but I'm pretty sure all I need is the bananas, the chocolate chip muffins, and I can make a cake out of it. Weirdly, your dogs eat. Interesting. Your dogs like chia seeds or flax seeds? Interesting. Yes, chia and flax are the same. See, I came to teach and I'm learning myself. I love it. I love it. Okay. That's still a little too warm. So we're going to toss this into the freezer for a few moments. And of course, if you do that, you always want to make sure you have heat and freeze safe containers. If you get the Pyrex measuring cups, they're both. They can go in the dishwasher, they can go in the microwave, they can go in the freezer. They're lovely. Oh, that's actually kind of awesome. I I I like that. That's when you gotta do what you gotta do when you have allergies. I used to live underneath somebody who couldn't have eggs, and I loved baking for her kids. So whenever I would bake something, I would make an egg-free alternative for her. So while we wait for the water to cool, I'm just gonna let's see, can I? Oh, I can't show you what it looks like. Okay, let's try this. There you go. You see how it's kind of foamy? Sorry. That's what you want it to look like. Spatula. I like to use a spatula when I'm mixing this part because then I can make sure I get everything off of the sides of the bowls. I am a no waste human when it comes to this kind of things. These kinds of things. Day with a new rented mouth, apparently. Apparently. Okay. Oh, and my butter went hard again. We're just going to throw that into the microwave for a quick 10 seconds again, because we don't want hard butter when we go in this. Otherwise, it will congeal and it won't do what it's supposed to do nicely. Okay. Yes, thank you, DC, for the reminder. If everybody could please lick the stream. It's bread flavored today. I would so very much appreciate it. I'm hoping to get to 1,000 followers and, what is it, 4,000 watch hour times or whatever it is. Hopefully soon. I'd love to be able to monetize this and help my family a bit more, but that's really not the end goal. I just really want to help people learn to cook and bake. Butter melted. Yes, that's exactly the flavor of it, DC, today. Okay. Let's check our water. You don't need it cold. You actually want it still a little bit warm. Same like the water for the yeast. You don't want to cook it. Okay, I can hold my finger in there. That's pretty good. We're going to start adding all the rest of the ingredients now. Okay? So I like to put the egg in first because then I can crack the yolk and it makes it a little bit easier to mix. Fun tip, if you dry out your eggshells, crush them into like a powder and add them into your plant, it will help them grow better as well as flour better. Add a little mix. Okay. Add the butter. Add your half a cup of flour that you put aside. And your warm water. Okay, and you're going to give that a good mix. Don't worry if it turns out to be lumpy. That is fully normal. It will come together and not be lumpy once you add the rest of your flour and the rest of your ingredients to it, okay? So you don't even need to mix it a lot, just enough so that everything kind of, the yeast gets off the bottom, the egg isn't eggy anymore. I just probably give it a good stir for about 4 or 5 minutes, about that. You Hello to anybody I haven't said hello to. As we're making bread, we're also trying to figure out what we're going to make while this dough rises for about a half an hour. It might actually take a little bit less time because I'm only doing one recipe, but that's okay. Okay, so after you have that all mixed up, you're going to take the bowl of flour, sugar, and salt that you did, the first 3 cups, and you're just going to start adding that slowly. Also, if you have any rings, please take your rings off before this. Okay, I'm adding the full 3 cups. It won't really matter. You're just going to give it a mix. Okay. And you get to see me be messy because what's a cooking show without a little bit of mess, right? This is why people wear aprons. And you know, it's funny. I've got aprons literally hung up right there and I never remember to put them on. So I end up looking like a trash panda with flour all over her. DC, thank you for the reminder of top chat to live chat. Even myself gets that. I forget as well. Thank you. I appreciate that. I actually had to change my shirt before I started this live stream. I may have spilt a bunch of water on myself right before I was about to go live. So that's fun. That's fun. Okay. Yes, Nika, what do you need? Nothing? Okay. So, the first 3 cups is probably going to make your dough look like that. Okay. You're just going to want to stir it in and try and get as much of the flour mixed in right away as you can. Because no screaming, we're good. Okay. Because you knead the dough for such a long time, like 10 to 15 minutes sometimes, depending on how big of the recipe it is, you really can't overmix the dough when you're adding in the flour. Okay. So first 3 cups with the sugar and salt added all at once. The last 3 cups, you want to make sure you do this slowly because you don't always need the amount that you have measured out. Okay, so I'm going to put about a third, about a cup in, cup and a half-ish in, and I'm just going to start stirring again. And you're going to notice it's going to start to turn a lot more elastic-y, in which, once it turns more into like a dough, what you can do, this is what I like to do, okay? So, hands into your flour and just rub so that you have a nice, good coating, okay? This is going to help prevent the dough from sticking to your hands. Any type of salt will work. I just use regular white table salt because it's cheaper than Himalayan pink salt, which is what I do all of my cooking with. But it doesn't really make a tasty difference. And yes, if you have salted butter, you can use that and leave the salt out instead. I only ever use unsalted because that's what I like to cook with. So I always have to add the salt. Sorry, my dad is just texting me. My parents live on the property with us, not in the house with us, but on the property. They actually live in a bus. For the last 2 years, they renovated a bus, and when we moved to where we live now, they started living in it. Hello, and I'm really sorry if I mispronounce your name. Nikita? Please correct me if I'm saying that wrong. We're making homemade bread and hopefully something while the bread dough rises. We just currently added everything to the dough. to the yeast mixture, and we're starting to make the dough. And we just put a good coverage of flour on our hands to help the dough from sticking to us. First one, nail kita. I love that. That is so pretty. That's awesome and a dream of mine to live in a bus. Well, let me tell you, it was a lot of work for them. I watched them for 2 years struggle with that thing. They absolutely love it. But he was texting me because I think he needs to come into the house to fill up their water jugs because he does that in our toilet, in our bathtub. Okay, so when you start to put the flour into your yeast and making the dough, and your hands look like that, literally all you have to do is add flour to your hands. Keep adding flour, it'll come right off. You don't need to worry about it. I'm living vicariously through this. I haven't made bread in at least 7 years. Well, hopefully this gives you the encouragement that you can do it and you can start making bread again. You can always do all of this in a bread maker as well. I just prefer not to because I like to feel the dough with my hands. And let's be real, the kneading part really gives some good arm muscles. Okay. Excuse me if I'm squinting. I'm a little bit far away from my computer and I'm just trying to make sure I don't miss any of the comments coming in. Okay. Now here is where the kneading comes in and you just add flour as you go, okay? So, best trick and advice I got for when you're kneading dough. Try to keep it in a somewhat rectangular shape in your bowl and you fold it in half, squish, turn 90 degrees, and repeat. Okay? When I'm doing my big bowl that I have way up there of dough, I sit on the floor to do it because it's too much to try and do on the counter. Now, when you're kneading, if you notice you have flour fall underneath the dough, you can scoop that up like so, punch a hole in the middle, and drop it right in and just continue on with your kneading. It'll work itself in. And like I said, you just keep adding flour as you need until the dough is a nice elasticy dough, but not sticking to your hands. And I'll show you that once we get there as well. Checking comments. I usually use my dough hook because chronic pain. That makes sense. I also like to use my dough hook for certain things on my KitchenAid. However, I just recently came across an account who does lead testing in products. And apparently, if you don't have stainless steel, like appliance pieces from KitchenAid, and you have the aluminum alloy ones with the coating on the outside, that coating kind of turns black if you put it in the dishwasher. Apparently that contains lead. So I'm not using my dough hook at the moment. Lead Save Mama. Yes, that's the one, DC. I just recently came across her not that long ago, and I'm not a crunchy mom. I'm not a mom that... I just try to do my best. And if I have something in my home that I can prevent from spreading a possible lead contamination, I won't use it. I'm cool with it. Doesn't matter to me. So I added all 3 cups of the flour, and I'm just gonna keep on kneading. Okay, on my tippy toes. I'm a little short, so I gotta get on my tippy toes when I do this. You don't want to mess around with lead for sure, right? And I mean, after watching all the ketone stuff with JLW and everything, I'm just not a fan. Oh boy. Okay, I gotta just 1 second, please. Hi. Okay. Yeah? Let's go to the bathroom. Sorry, everyone. I had to run off and go do quick mummy things. Oh, okay. Paparazzi? Jewelry had lead in it too? Oh, jeez. At least the ice cream maker is safe, right? My precious. I mean, I think as long as you have stainless steel, you're probably okay. Sorry, I gotta go. Be right back again. Girl. Let me go. What? Mommy's not alive. I gotta go. I'm making bread. You want mommy's bread, don't you? What? What? Are you starting to get tired? You have to wait, okay? Come here. Look, it's frozen. What did you do here? There you go, baby. Sorry, everyone. My kiddo has just started to actually comprehend potty training, and she's actually telling me when she needs to go. So I had to go do that. Anyways, quick wash of the hands, because, I'll make sure you do that. Okay, I really have to say thank you so much to the 7 people watching who also liked my stream. I so very much appreciate all of you guys. Hakuna Matata. I love it. Okay, so back to the kneading. Okay. And when you're kneading, you can even switch directions. You don't have to just go one way in a circle. You can switch. That's what I like to do sometimes. Okay. Now, this is what your dough is going to look like. Okay? Nice and elasticy, but also not really sticking to you. Okay? And if you have leftover flour in the bottom of your bowl, no big deal. You actually want to, I'm going to just, dump out the spare into this bowl. Okay, 1 second, sweetie. I'm going to have to go in a second again. My child I might have to just dip out quickly to try and put her down for a nap while this is raising, which means I might actually take a break while this is raising and come back after it's done. If everybody's cool with that, just let me know. Okay? Might just have to take a quick 15, 20 minutes so I can deal with her, okay? So dough in here, rest of the flour, you want to try and make sure you have it nice and spread out. Oh boy, I'm sorry. Give me 1 second again. If you're like me and you're a mom and you have to deal with this is a good time to get your oven preheated to the lowest temperature you can. I'm coming, sweetie. I'll be right back. What is it? What is it? Come here, come here. What's wrong? What is it? What is it? You can't keep going in and out, okay? This is not a game, Veronica. A game, You want to take a nap? Yeah? Okay. Let me just check one second. Okay. My kiddo needs a nap, so I'm going to, if everybody's cool with it, we're going to just take a quick break, and when I come back, we can finish the dough and figure out what else it is we're going to be making. So thank you, everybody. DC, I know you wanted to go live after my live. If you still want to, I totally understand. Anybody who wants to go watch DC, please do. It's okay. It's okay. Okay. And I will be back in about a half an hour. Does that work for everybody? Half an hour sound good? Where's your other one? Go get your other one. It's okay, seriously. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so I will see you in about a half an hour. And in the meantime, I'm going to cover this with a cloth and pop it into a warm place, which in my case is my oven preheated to 175 degrees Fahrenheit with the door propped open so it doesn't cook. And I can show you guys all of that when I come back. See you guys in a half an hour.